hei Māori ora, ka tangi te kiwi, ka tangi te kākā, ka tangi hoki ko au. Te whare tū nei, he papa ke waho nei, tēnā kūrua. E nā mate haere, haere, haere ki te pō. E nā mana whenua o tēnei rohi tēnā koutou. E nā whānau, e nā kaiako, e nā mātua, nō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Ko imi te maunga, ko whaingaroa te moana, ko Coyote awa, ko mātātua te waka, ko Ngāpuhi te iwi, ko Ngāti rehia, Ngāti Pakihi, Ngā hapu, ko Mangaiti marae, ko Ngāpuhi te iwi, ko Charlie Renata taku pāpā, ko Carol Galley taku māma, ko Steve Renata hau. Nō reira, kia ora, tēnā koutou. For those of you who wondered, what the hell did that guy just say? It was a lot of nice things, because you're nice people, and it's getting towards the end of the day. But very briefly, in the Māori tradition, we greet the spirit in the sky, the ground, the house we're here. We greet those who have travelled from far away. We greet you, the living. We acknowledge you. And then we introduce ourselves, starting as far back as we know. For me, it's a boat, a waka called Mātātua, and we come all the way down. And the reason for that is that gives us a chance to create our identity, to compose ourselves, to deliver what hopefully is something of value for you. So kia ora. In true Māori tradition, if I knew that my next 12 minutes was going to be stink, I'd actually start off with a waiata just to lift up that intro. But I'm feeling bloody confident I won't have to sing, because that would be a punish for you. Some of you may think, hey, fitness guy Les Mills, when's he going to crack out, body pump class? That's not going to happen today. But because you've got an incredible speaker coming up who's also got a fitness background, here's my 3 quick tips for those of you that are dying to feel fitter and thinner. Drop the processed sugar out of your diet, get some interval training into your life, get some music and a friend, and you'll be instantly a hero. All right? But what I'm really here to talk about is something I've learned over the years through travel, living back here in Aotearoa, which is wellness, but more importantly, what I call the mana of wellness. Now, the wellness part of it is really what I define as your behaviour, your health, your psychology, your spiritualism, if you have some, and then how important that is for you as an individual, how important it is for you as a family member, as a community member, part of the economy, part of the nation. And some interesting statistics out there tell us that when we look at wellness as a score out of 100, some of the countries in the Western world have an average of around about 65. That's like a 6.5 out of 10. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist that if you're dealing with the world the way it is right now, 6.5 out of 10 is meaning every day is a pretty hard day. So my belief is that we need to be thinking about our own wellness and the wellness of those around us, from family out through to our organisations. But then how do you amplify the wellness? How do you crank it up? And my learnings around the world and making plenty of mistakes is that I think there's a thing here called mana that can really lift and help you grow. What is mana? Mana is a way of being. It's about bringing 100% of yourself to every conversation. It's about respecting the other person. It's about responsibility. It's about authenticity. It's about knowing when to be really strong and knowing when to be very, very vulnerable. And so when you have mana, things start to happen. You grow. Your whānau grows, your business grows, the community grows, the economy grows, the nation starts to grow. So this is something that's very important, I believe can be a game changer for you, your whānau, your company, and our nation, Aotearoa. Why now though? Why do we have to worry about wellness and mana right now? Well, here's the thing. We are going through incredible change right now. You will have heard plenty of accolades from our previous speakers. Here's a couple of statistics you might not know. In 2017, there will be 3 times more devices than there are human beings in the world. The speed of traffic in terms of data flow will be 13 times faster in 2017 than it was in 2012. Everything is going so fast. How do you live in a world that's going at that pace? Diversity. We're becoming more diverse as a world, but more diverse as a nation. Auckland City Council have about 11,000 staff. 40% of their staff were born outside of New Zealand. We have other diversity in terms of gender, in terms of age populations. The biggest group coming through right now is the millennials, the Gen Ys, the 18 to 30, I know everything people. All right, I was one of those once before. So lots and lots of change. And how do you operate in a change environment like that? You need great wellness and you need amazing mana. So what I'd like to share with you today is my take on how you find mana, how you honour your mana, and then how you amplify it. And as we sit here today, and I look out into the room, this incredible talent, you have mana. This is not a Māori thing, it's not a Steve Renata thing. You've got mana right now, but it's possible, just possible, that you might not be accessing it to its full potential. So I want to give you a couple of examples of what I've seen and done, particularly in a business environment, and how we looked at the mana to solve what potentially was some business issues. So the first one was around finding. The founder of KIWA, beautiful Māori wahine from the far north, Rhonda Kite, came down from Auckland back in the 60s and was in a new world. She'd come from a very poor background and then life threw her a curveball and suddenly she's a solo mother. Solo mum, difficult place to be. Female, no job. Ended up getting herself a job within the media industry and working for some of what's now New Zealand's first Māori TV. During that time, Rhonda spent a lot of hours helping synchronise footage and sound, what we call in the industry ADR and dubbing. Imagine Lord of the Rings in German. And the process that takes place here requires incredible synchronisation. So from a technical perspective, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Rhonda came up with some software that helped the process go a lot faster. But if we look a little bit deeper around that, the real issue for Rhonda was integrity. How do I keep the integrity of the original script that was written to stay the same way as it goes through this process? How do I maintain the language transferring a script from English over into Reo Māori, into Mandarin, into Dutch? How do we keep that and how do we honour that rather than just make it into a technical process with no emotive mana behind it? So she focused on that and she created one of the world's very first ADR dubbing software techniques. So good in fact that a 3,000 word script that used to take 2 days to process, VoiceQ can do in 2 minutes. So incredible technology but founded on mana. So that allowed KIWA, the company that I'm in at the moment, to go a little bit further. And this was what the output. So Whale Rider, most of us know that movie, it's put New Zealand on the map as well as Lord of the Rings. We were the company that did a lot of the ADR and dubbing for it. A very proud moment for us. But then moving on, the world changed. This was back in the early 2000s, and then suddenly everything moved away from analog into digital. And so when the iPad appeared on the scene about 2009, Rhonda had to search and think, VoiceQ software, it's not working, what's the next big thing? And suddenly she figured it. What I need to do is not worry about footage and sound. What I need to do is figure out how text and sound can be synchronised. Because what we can do here is improve literacy. If we can find a software that actually does that, we can improve the literacy of everyone in this country and around the world. So she came up with what was called Cut Pro, which really is some of the source code from VoiceQ. Over here, we're focusing on integrity and synchronisation. Over here, we're focusing on synchronisation, but we're focused on literacy, improving the literacy of the nation. So at the heart of it, it was about the child. What happens? We know that with children around the ages of 3 to 5, if you can read to them a couple of minutes a night. I've got an 8-year-old, Grace, and we read together quite a bit. If you read to your child for 15 minutes a day, most days of the week, you can accelerate their learning by 1 year. Now, parents out there, double parents that are both working, I get it. I don't have time to read to my children, or when I do, I go to sleep. These are the issues we deal with, but we've managed to create a product that digitally mimics you being with your child reading, and they get the same impacts. The research under that says when you read with your child and they hear your voice in their ear and they see your finger on the text and they read with you, you can increase a child's reading levels three or four levels within 90 days. I mean, that's if you've got a 3-year-old, you're pretty excited right now, right? I'm excited, she's 8. So then what we were able to do was actually create some technology to make that happen.
Harry McCleary from Donaldson's Dairy by Linley Dodd. Scarface Claw, the toughest Tom in town. Straight back home to bed.
Hands up if you've heard Harry McCleary at home. Yes, well done. Thank you. That's really kept actually paying the bills. Thank you. But hey, we thought, okay, Harry McCleary is cool. This is awesome. We're helping literacy. What about if we start looking at other languages? What about if we go home to Aotearoa and start looking at other stories that were created by our nation and could be retold in a cool way? And so what we did was came up with this.
Ka hana tū, i ngā tauroa o te pō, ngā mea katoa. Tērā ia ko te wā o te hihirinoa. Ka heke I konei, ko te tātai tāne, mai I te whetū. Ko tā te whetū, ko te rā, ko te ao nui, ko te ao roa, ko te ao pāpakina.
Soon to be on Air New Zealand's in-flight service, and that's the story of the creation of the universe. Being able to go into te reo Māori and English gave us a way to channel and go a bit bigger. We know that people listening in their own first native tongue are more engaged. That increases literacy as well. So after that, we thought, hey, it's nice to get someone else's titles. It's great to recraft some stories. How about if we ask the kids about crafting their own story? What's their world about? And so we came up with what's called 48-hour slam. We stole that from the movie industry, which is how they actually create a movie in 48 hours, and we decided to make an app in 48 hours. So we bring the children in with caregivers of all different nations, and in 2 days we've got this thing happening, and we build an app out of it. Suddenly the kids are up on the App Store. They're world rock stars with their own stories. They do the text, they do the drawings, and they do the audio. Incredibly transformative work. And so we've used that to scale around the world and here in Aotearoa. We figured we're focusing a lot on Indigenous, what about non-Indigenous? And so we created the same program, except KIWA slang for the digital generation, regardless of Indigenous backgrounds. And from a business perspective, that's smart, because your channel goes like this. This year was the Anzac year, so we wanted to honour language and people. So this particular app was a story done by Huia around Moana Nui a Kiwa Naramu, one of our first VCs in World War II. Beautiful story done with graphics and text, but no audio. So we brought the Ngāti Pro dialect, which is where Ngārumu was from, and now this is a free app. If you go into the App Store right now, you can download this for free in English and in Māori. So for those that paid the ultimate price, kia ora. Amplifying. So it's all going well. KIWA's sort of moving from Hairy McCleary, we're getting into Indigenous, we're starting to do things. How do you amplify it? And this is one of the coolest things that's happened literally in the last 2 weeks with us. We figured that some of those literacy learnings from the children and Indigenous could also apply to what's called cultural intelligence. And I know Mei Chen was talking about that, or in fact she wasn't talking about it, she was screaming about it earlier today. Well, I think she's right. It's huge. You think about the country, what's going to go on. We want to be a top 10 city in the next few years. To do that, you've got to change the way you behave and work. And cultural intelligence tools and techniques and just a way of being is going to shift us right up to the top, because the other countries don't know how to deal with it. We're quick, we're nimble, and KIWA's got the tool for you. Cha-ching, sales pitch. True story. Some of our biggest organisations in the world, and some of them will be in here in the room, so kia ora to you. In New Zealand, we're building their app right now which will allow their staff to understand more about tikanga Māori, te reo Māori, and that will expand out into other languages. Te Pouhiranga, which means the post that draws people together, was the first app developed by Callaghan Innovation, and using that as a staff induction tool. Ki te kōrero is being used by Auckland Council. We're building it right now. They've got over 10,000 staff, 40% of them came from outside of the country. Sure, they need tools. And then last but not least, the Independent Māori Statutory Board, which we were very gifted to be able to work with them, building a story around the future look and feel of Tamaki Makaurau using some urban Māori design. Everything on your phone, everything on your iPad from this country. This, I believe, is going to take us international. When we're not doing cultural intelligence tools, we like to think we're movie producers at KIWA, and so we're working now with the Canadian Fund, creating this incredible story of an Indigenous characters from Canada, Indigenous people from Aotearoa, and then mystical Indigenous creatures. So mystical Indigenous for New Zealand, if you don't know it, the Māoris have their version of fairies, and over in the Canadian one, of course, wouldn't be a good show unless you had the Sasquatch in there somewhere. But awesome story. The app will complement the webisode, the movies and so forth, and it's coming out of this particular area. To wrap up, all of that was driven by us searching for our mana, the integrity, the respect, the responsibility, the strength, the weakness, being present in every conversation, and honouring the original voice, delivered through technology. The aspirations of our company, I speak on behalf of Jill Tattersall, Rhonda Kite, and all the organisations in Aotearoa that have supported and sponsored us, and you. This is a picture of the future world where I would like to see here in preferably Tamaki Makaurau, the world's best Indigenous publishing new media company. And I'd like to think that some of you rangatahi down here tonight are working for this company, and that I can sit beside into a director role and watch you do all the great work. Kia ora. Thank you very much.